you ever had the experience of finding out that something you thought pretty much your whole life isn't true but actually false? It can be rather rattling depending on just how attached the thought or belief might have been to your sense of identity. But sometimes the little things add up. Prepare yourselves for some introspection. Here are 10 photos that prove that your life is a lie. Don't forget to subscribe to our content so that you can have your mind blown on a regular basis. Toad isn't actually a mushroom head. All these years growing up with a Super Mario saturated gaming culture, we all assumed that Toad and his other mushroom-headed people had actual mushroom heads. Well, it turns out your preconceptions of Mario are lies. Lies, I tell you! I'm never going to be able to play some of these games the same. Apparently, Toad's mushroom head is really just a hat. Ugh. He just looks so weird without his hat on. What's more bothersome, however, is that in several games and scenes where we see Toad or Toad people falling over or even falling upside down, their hats never fall off. Continuity error, aha! But continuity errors aside, this isn't the only thing that people believe to be true about Mario that actually isn't. Another of these myths that have been busted is that Mario doesn't have a last name. Mario and Luigi are just Mario and Luigi, right? But have you ever wondered why then they are called the Mario Brothers? Well, in the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Film, if we can call it a film, the idea was introduced that the Mario Brothers were called this because their last name was in fact Mario. This means that Mario's full name is Mario Mario. If you feel like your world is already crashing around you, rest assured, we're just getting started. Pineapples don't grow on trees. This might come as a shock, at least to everyone that doesn't live in Hawaii, but pineapples do not grow on trees. It's pretty understandable as an assumption, however, since apples do grow on trees. Also, pines are a type of tree. So why on earth wouldn't pineapples grow on trees? Basically, because whoever came up with some of the more important words in the English language clearly just wanted to screw with all of us. But no, they grow out of odd-looking bushes, and the vast majority of them are produced in Costa Rica. Brazil is the second largest pineapple producer, producing about 2.5 million tons annually. Those must be some really heavy pineapples. Who's eating them all? They're actually a native fruit to South America, and Hawaii was the very first place to commercially cultivate the fruit. So if you visit Hawaii anytime soon and ask a local where the pineapple trees are, you can expect to be giggled at. But locals often get far more astonishing questions than where the pineapple trees are. They also get asked where the bridge connecting the islands are, if the islands are floating, and if they are in fact flown in for their jobs every day. These are all real questions. All questions to avoid unless you want to have a bad time. Hair commercials use green screen guys. Does Pantene make your hair silky touch irresistibly smooth, as their slogan leads us to believe? Or are they a bunch of false advertising liars using green screen dudes? Well, it shouldn't surprise us because we all know our hair wasn't doing the hair wizardry we saw in commercials after using Pantene in the shower. That's some crazy hair physics. Apparently, these effects are only possible with the magic of green screen and the often uncredited green screen dudes. In the long list of odd jobs you can have in this world, that's certainly up there. Can you imagine being at a mixer where someone asks you what you do? Well, you know, I stand next to pretty women and flip their hair around so that consumers think their shampoo will do the same thing to their hair. Maybe this is what people really mean when they just answer that question simply with marketing. Technically, that wouldn't be a lie, unlike these hair commercials. Penguins have knees. People tend to have a fascination with penguins. We've elevated them to movie star status with movies like Happy Feet, and lots of people will stop what they're doing just to watch a penguin waddle around. Perhaps we are enamored with an animal that can be so clumsy on land and yet so graceful in water. Practically, its whole character shifts just depending on its environment and context. Maybe we relate to this in some way as humans. Have you ever been really awesome at a gathering among friends but totally awkward at your in-laws? Yeah, me neither. Well, when we watch penguins waddle around in all of their clumsy glory, we easily assume that these little feathered dorks don't have knees. Well, you'd be wrong to do so. Apparently, according to some super legit scientific sources, penguin legs have a short femur, knee, tibia, and fibula. You just don't see them because they're covered by the penguin's thick feathers and also they're fat. Here's another fun fact about penguins. They have gender roles quite different from typical human or other mammalian gender roles. The male is typically the caretaker, who watches after the egg or newborn, while the female goes out to hunt and feed. Such fascinating birds they are. Birds with knees, mind you. The more you know. Footlongs are a lie. Here are some more lies from corporations and advertising. Perhaps that's not really surprising at all. The truth sets you free, and advertising companies don't want you to be free. They want you to consume like a good little customer. But most of us were pretty sure that our footlong sandwiches purchased from Subway were actually a foot long. Why call it something that it isn't? Well, it looks like Subway had done just that. In fact, in 2013, a few photos of 11-inch foot-long Subway sandwiches went viral, and customers were so outraged over their missing inch of sandwich that an actual class action lawsuit was filed. That's got to be the first time a sandwich was taken to court. But in today's wacky legal system, maybe not. In any event, Subway actually did decide to settle and make implementations in their workplaces to actually measure all their loaves of bread. Subway also plans to incorporate the adherence of accurate measurements in their training and training manual. Can we say first world problems, everybody? Who knew a viral photo could lead to justice for sandwich lovers everywhere? I guess this isn't really proving that your life is a lie anymore, however. It was a lie, but they fixed it. And if you weren't aware of it, then you got to bask in blissful ignorance. Sidewalks aren't built in separate pieces. This is something that is really gonna change your world, especially if you live in a metropolitan area or anywhere that isn't a very old town. You've seen these sidewalks all over the place. They can be found lining shopways, people's driveways, and near public parks. They're basically literally everywhere. I bet you probably easily walk on by without paying them a second thought, and if you do pay them a second thought, then you might think, gee, some really artsy genius took a lot of time individually laying these bricks or tiles. And, well, on some occasions you might be right, but as it turns out, these aesthetics are most commonly achieved by pouring cement and then going over that wet cement with these stamps. It might disappoint you, but really, genius and laziness can be the exact same thing depending on the eyes of the beholder. It's not just cemented sidewalks, though. You would also think that bricks would be safe from this clever trickery, because they're bricks, right? Wrong. Sometimes bricks are laid out pre-assembled. The government is lying to you. 9/11 was an inside job. America faked the moon landing. The guy calling on the phone to tell you that your credit card is not protected enough is really just a fraud. Oranges are also a lie. It's summertime, and we all love to kick back and relax with a relaxing glass of orange juice. Unless you're allergic. But wait, this just in. Apparently, they lied about the oranges too. Damn it, not the oranges. Is nothing sacred anymore? Unfortunately, apparently, oranges aren't all naturally orange. Sometimes, even fully mature and ripe oranges will still have green or yellow skins. So what do smart food companies do? They ruin it, that's what. To make the oranges all look orange, they sometimes treat the yellow and green ones with ethylene gas just so that their name can match their color. Another thing that they might do is add the color citrus red number 2 to the orange instead of ethylene gas. What's more is that according to the FDA, and I quote, artificially colored oranges received in bulk and sold at a retail establishment are not required to bear a label statement declaring the use of artificial coloring, provided the orange are displayed to the purchaser with either 1, the labeling of the bulk container plainly in view, or 2, a counter card, sign, or other appropriate device bearing prominently and conspicuously the fact that the oranges are artificially colored. I can feel myself becoming more of a conspiracy theorist by the minute. When they came for the women, I stayed silent. When they came for the children, I stayed silent. But when they came for the oranges, by God, I rose hell. Michael Jackson didn't have freakishly strong ankles. Michael Jackson was a man of both fame and infamy. Some of the fans like to reflect on his youthful, awe-inspiring, successful days and just kind of ignore all that creepy Neverland stuff that happened later. But regardless of your opinion on that, you can't deny that the man invented legendary music and legendary dance moves to match. His success earned him a net worth of $600 million, and he even sold 35 million albums in the year following his death. Isn't it odd how death sometimes increases people's success? You don't know what you got till it's gone. Among some of the famous moves that he came up with was the anti-gravity lean for his smooth criminal performance. This wowed and awed audiences around the globe. People had to double take and ask themselves just how he did it. Some people hypothesized hidden strings. Others just thought Michael had the ankles of a god other than Hercules. But the real secret was his shoes. His shoes had special slotted heels that could slide into bolts protruding from the floor. He even patented the shoes in 1993. I'm not too sure how much those shoes have been reproduced. In any event, consider the myth of Michael having anti-gravity powers busted. Green gummy bears are strawberry flavored. Who's ready to question their life choices? If you're not already thrown into an existential crisis, well, I've got a few more things up my sleeve. You remember gummy bears from your childhood days, I'm sure. That's right, I'm about to step on your childhood. You also probably remember the name Haribo. They're the top producer of yummy gummy bear treats and are credited with pretty much having invented them. I wish I'd invented gummy bears. Probably be able to actually afford some of those lavish things that the super rich have. Maybe even a yacht. Anyway, common sense tells us that the green gummy bear should be green apple or perhaps a watermelon flavor, right? Those are the general candy rules. And you don't break candy rules. Well, turns out your common sense has been lying to you. The green gummy bears are indeed strawberry flavored. But this leaves us with an even bigger question on our hands. If the green bears are strawberry, then what the heck are the red bears? Due to process of elimination, they can't be strawberry, even though that is unadulterated blasphemy. Well, as fate would have it, the red gummy bears are actually, in fact, raspberry flavored. There's just no logic in this place. No Tears shampoo wasn't about crying. Maybe you didn't fall for the funny play on words. Maybe you did. That's okay. I won't tell anybody. But lots of people thought that the No Tears label on the L'Oreal shampoo bottle was actually something about how the shampoo wouldn't cause you to tear up if the suds accidentally got in your eyes. A few unfortunate souls took this label a step further. They tested it out. But what these sad, now crying people didn't understand was that the shampoo company was talking about tears in your hair. You know, like the breakage that happens when you don't take care of your hair. They weren't talking about the tears you get in your eyes when you lack the sense to not jam shampoo into them. Apparently, this was a pretty widespread phenomenon of confusion. But to be fair, the confusion was actually quite rational. As we can see from a 1997 commercial, the person in the commercial accidentally mispronounced tears as tears. And apparently, the editing crew didn't catch it either. Talk about some false advertising. They even have a kid waving around the suds in his eyes smiling. I'm just surprised that when I Googled this, I didn't find a class action lawsuit somewhere for the partial blindness people might have experienced. Don't trust 1997 commercials. They're lying. Well, that's it for today's list. I hope you came away as unscathed as possible with your identity intact. Your life might be a lie, but you can still make it a beautiful lie at least. Have a good one.